Hi everybody, I'm your host. My name is Desh Palay-Beachin, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Talk the Talk. Hopefully your favorite online motoring show. Let's get ready to rev your engines, no pun intended, and experience the adrenaline-fueled world of high-speed competition as we introduce the captivating and trailblazing racing car driver. Her unyielding drive on the racetrack is matched only by her charismatic personality off it, making her a true force to be reckoned with. Now, this phenomenal lady actually got me introduced to motorsport, and that's how we introduced the Women in Motorsport category this year. So without further ado, let's welcome Paige Lindenberg, a racing driver for Women in Motorsport South Africa, but also a finalist for the Motoring Woman of the Year Awards. Without further ado, let's introduce her. And as always, this interview is proudly brought to you by Seriti Solutions, MFC, and Avo by Nedbank. Hello, Paige.
Hello, Paige.
It is so nice to sit and interview you with normal civilian clothes on.
So many people don't recognize me. We're girl dresses.
You're a girl. I remember interviewing you at FOM last year. Are you participating this year? Oh my gosh, Paige, you, are so phenomenal. Your dad's name is Peter Lindenberg, and he's big into the game as well. And it's such an honor to be sitting with you, really it is.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, you're welcome, Paige. So where did your journey in racing begin?
Sure. So when I was 5, my dad bought my sister and I, or gave us power boats to try. My dad was a power boater back then. We got in just to see what it's like, and I got out and said, cool, I'm ready to race. My older sister didn't love it, and you could only get a license at 8. So at the age of 7, eventually, after begging and pleading, they were willing to watch and see if I was capable to race or not. And they watched me at the age of 7, and I was granted my powerboating license at age 7. So I was the youngest in the world to get a powerboating license. Wow. And then my journey actually started in powerboating. So I won South African champs, world champs. And then my dad had a bad accident in 2002, and he was declared dead on the scene. He had drowned. He was underwater for 2 minutes and 58 seconds, and then he was in a coma for a week and also afterwards, and he retired after that and forced me to, because powerboating was just too dangerous back then. There was no safety equipment. When you had an accident, you drowned very easily. So my car journey only then started from about 12 onwards.
Wow. So what do you enjoy most about racing?
It's part of my it's part of my blood. It's what I know, but I think the adrenaline and the challenge, no race is ever the same. It's always a new challenge, a new lesson. You're always pushing yourself to a new, different limit. And I don't think I know myself without it. It's part of my identity.
Right. So what do you feel is the most important quality that a race car driver should have? I'm not going to say a female race car driver. Let's just make that general.
The one lesson I've learned from my dad and his career and experience is the ability to sort of slow things down, because everything happens at such a fast pace, and you can't think too quickly, and you'll make a mistake. So I think the ability to be able to sort of try and slow things down and think ahead of the game, but you only have that split second, is probably quite important. And your sort of reflexes and reaction to things, you have to be on it. You can't be half asleep behind a wheel, because there's so much happening, especially in the historic cars. It's not electronic, everything is manual. So it's manual gearbox and not always power steering, and double clutching and looking in the mirrors to make sure you're not going to take anyone out, and all these apexing and your lines, and I don't think you realize how much you do in that moment.
So procrastinate, but don't procrastinate too much. Okay. Okay. So what goes through your mind before you actually get into a race car?
A lot of the time you'll see I'm like frantic all over the place because I run the businesses and the racing team and hospitality most of the time at the events. So a lot of the time I'm literally like helping people and doing things just before I get into a car. And so the people close to me have like learned that I need a few minutes when I get in, and I don't need people in the car talking to me. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of grounding yourself and to try and get your head in the game, to focus on the race and not the work and the people and everything else that's going around you. So yeah, I think it's just that moment to prepare yourself, get ready, remember, you know, what you're doing, what car you're in, because often you like, sometimes I drive different cars. At the moment I mainly drive the fair lane, but I used to drive 2 different cars in one day, and the one was left-hand drive, one's right-hand drive. Then everything changes, because then you gear sticks the other side, your lines are different, well not different, but you sit on the opposite side of the car, so you're cornering apexes, you far away on the left-hand side. So I think it's just get your head in the game really, and try to forget about the million things going on around you and focus.
So Paige, you came here with your car that you race. It's so amazing. I've never had a race car in my yard before. Do you get a lot of attention?
Yeah, and I hate it.
You should take me with you.
I took the car to get washed on my way here to Bulldog Car Wash, and this old lady literally came to talk to me for 10 minutes about her grandchildren loving cars. She took a million pictures, and she was showing me pictures of her grandchildren because she loved the car. So it creates a lot of attention.
A lot of attention. Any advice for, you know, young females that want to get into the trade?
I hate this question because it's so difficult in South Africa, and I just wish it was easier for women especially, but in general it's a difficult sport to get into. But no dream is ever too big, and I think if it's something you're extremely passionate about and you want to go for it, there's always, where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
There are definitely some academies starting up in go-karting, and that's the best place to start, is go-karting. You learn so much, and that's where you get your foot in the door. But it's unfortunately a very difficult sport to get into, and I wish I had the answers to help as many women as I can. But all I can say is, if you have a dream, go for it.
Absolutely.
Because if you put your mind to something, in my opinion, you can always make a plan to succeed.
Absolutely. I mean, the sponsors will come, the support will be there, but you have to make the decision that nothing's going to stop you and you're going to persevere. I think that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paige, I want to thank you. I want to wish you well for FOM. I know that's your next big one. I'll be there too. But I want to wish you well, and also congratulate you for being a finalist in the Motoring Woman of the Year Awards. Thank you for joining our movement.
Thank you so much for everything.
You're welcome. Okay, so ladies, I'm just going to end off this interview in saying, or just a quote that reminds me about Paige. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, but the optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. And that reminds me of Paige. She is oh my gosh, she's a demon on that race. She's beat a lot of guys too, haven't you? So it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Ladies, whether you win or lose, playing at 100% makes you a true sport for life. Embrace the spirit of true sportsmanship, displaying unwavering commitment and unwavering passion and resilience. It's not just about the outcome, but the journey and the character you build along the way. So having said that, I'd like to remind you that the question isn't who's going to let me. It should be who's going to stop me.